Hi, Movie Space here. Today, I'm going to explain an American action adventure mystery thriller film called Unknown. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Waking up of a 4 days coma, Dr. Martin Harris discovered that his identity was stolen by another man. In struggling attempts to prove his identity, Martin was choked by an entirely different one which reflects who he was. With his true identity, which he didn't approve, revealed Thomas had to fix the last thing he did wrong to redeem himself. Aboard the plane Martin Harris was reading, while his wife Liz was sleeping in the seat next to him. Martin and Liz, who arrived to Berlin for Biotechnology Summit, took a taxi to Adlon Kempinski Hotel. What Martin didn't realize as he put the luggage in the booth was that he forgot the suitcase where he stored his ID and other important documents. In the hotel as Liz was checking in, Martin realized that the suitcase was missing, so he took a taxi back to the airport to retrieve it. On the way to the airport, the taxi involved in an accident and crashed into the spree. Fortunately for Martin, the woman taxi driver managed to rescue his life. After 4 days, Martin woke up from his coma, hardly remembering what happened before the accident. The doctor comforted Martin that his state of memory loss is normal as he was in a coma for 4 days. As Martin kept asking the doctor and the nurse about his wife Liz, they had to look for anyone who filed a report looking for him. Watching the news, Martin saw the picture of Professor Leo Bressler and that of Adlon Kempinski Hotel. It was only then when Martin remembered why he came to Berlin, so he decided to get back to the hotel. The doctor warned Martin of leaving as he still needed to stay at the hospital, to no avail. Seeing how resolved he was to leave the hospital so as to find his wife, the doctor let Martin go after giving him his card. Reaching the hotel, Martin persuaded the head of the hotel security to let him talk to his wife. To his surprise, Liz ignored Martin, saying that he was not her husband and that he mistook her for someone else. She even pointed to another man as her husband, Martin. No matter how hard Martin tried to convince his wife of his true identity, she refused to believe him. At the security camera room, Martin tried to identify himself in the security footage the day he arrived at the hotel, but he didn't appear in the footage at all. He also attempted to call a colleague named Rodney Cole to prove his identity, but all his attempts were a failure. Martin left security no choice but to arrest him. Luckily for him, he had the doctor's card in his pocket, through which he could convince the head of security that the accident affected his memory. So security sent him back to the hospital in a taxi, which he stopped later to have a look at Liz through a window in the hotel as her so-called husband caressed her face. Walking hopelessly in the street, Martin stopped at a payphone and called Rodney Cole, leaving a message in which he explained the entire awkward situation he was put into. As he ended the call, Martin suspected that he was being followed, so he hastened to the tram stops where he boarded one. On the tram, Martin wrote down his schedule for the next day from memory. In the street, Martin recognized the plate number of the crashed taxi on another taxi. At the agency where the woman taxi driver worked, the boss said that he had no clue about the whereabouts of the woman as she was an illegal immigrant from Bosnia. Eventually, Martin managed to get to Gina, the woman taxi driver, as her friend helped him. At the dinner where she works as a waitress, Gina denied that she was the driver of the taxi and refused to tell him where she picks him up. Visiting the office of Professor Leo Bressler, whom he is scheduled to meet, a surprised Martin found another Martin Harris already there. When Martin attempted to prove his identity, the so-called Martin Harris provided identification and a family photo, both of which had his face. As he was overwhelmed by the identity crisis, Martin lost consciousness to awake back at the hospital. Martin's attending nurse gave him the address of a friend who finds people before she was attacked and killed by a terrorist named Smith. Clearly, the terrorist was after Martin, who was able to escape him. A helpless Martin found the address the nurse gave him, where he sought help from private investigator and former Stasi agent Ernst Jürgen. As Martin explained the situation to Jürgen, he insisted that Martin should talk to Gina because Martin's father's book on botany was not enough as a clue. Gina finally talked to Martin about what happened the day the accident occurred. She also took him to what looked like an apartment to spend the night at. In the meantime, Jürgen did some research on Martin and the biotechnology summit to discover that the summit was to be attended by Prince Shada of Saudi Arabia. The prince, who survived numerous assassination attempts, was funding a secret project headed by Bressler. Jürgen presumably related the identity theft to Professor Bressler's secret project. Smith, the terrorist, was able to get to Gina's apartment, where he attacked her and Martin with another terrorist, Jones. After killing her friend Biko, Gina killed Smith and escaped with Martin to be followed by Jones. When they finally lost him as they hid in a disco, Gina broke into tears, blaming Martin for ruining her life and ending that of her friend Biko. As Gina went to bring coats, Martin found out that the series of numbers written by Liz in his book correspond to words found on specific pages. Martin used his schedule to confront Liz, who told him of his briefcase that he left at the airport. Jürgen received a letter from an old friend he contacted, where there were 2 photos extracted from security footage. At the airport the day Martin and Liz arrived to Berlin, the photos showed Martin and Liz receiving their stamped passports in customer service hall. Rodney Cole, who arrived to Berlin, gave a call to Jürgen, who received him at his office. Jürgen revealed his findings about a secret terrorist group known as Section 15. To deduce soon that Cole is a former mercenary and a member of the group. With no way of escaping Cole, who was there to interrogate and kill him, Jürgen committed suicide to protect Martin. When he retrieved his briefcase from the airport, Martin parted ways with Gina after he thanked her and gave her some money as a gratitude for helping him. Waiting for his wife Liz at the airport's cafe, Martin met Cole, who kidnapped him later with the help of Jones, who tasered him. Luckily for Martin, Gina spotted him being kidnapped by Cole and Jones, so she stole a taxi and followed Cole's van. The van stopped in a place far enough from people, where Martin was told the truth by Cole about his true identity. Martin Harris was just a fabricated persona, which Martin came to believe after the accident he had. It was Martin himself who created Martin Harris. When Liz knew of the accident where Martin was involved, she notified Cole of his injury. That was the time when Martin Harris B was activated as his replacement. Martin was not Dr. Martin Harris. He was a trained assassin. When Jones was about to kill Martin, Gina ran him over, then rammed Cole's van, killing him as well. Harris finds a hidden compartment in his briefcase containing 2 Canadian passports. Gina checked Martin's passport and the entry stamped to Berlin, which was 3 months ago. It was only then when Martin remembered that his visit to Berlin with Liz was for planting a bomb in Prince Shada's suite at Adlon Kempinski Hotel. Martin revealed his true identity to Gina, telling her that she shouldn't have saved his life. Gina heartened Martin, saying that what he did then was what mattered. Gina's words encouraged Martin to stop the assassination of Prince Shada. As the prince and Professor Bressler arrived into the hotel, they were welcomed by Liz and Martin Harris B. Liz asked Bressler to take off his coat as well as his laptop computer bag, as the professor insisted to hold on to it. She comforted him, saying that he could trust her. As he handed her the bag, she stealthily put a tiny flash drive inside it. Through the tiny flash drive, Liz hacked into Bressler's laptop computer, accessing his research to steal the data of his secret project. Spotted by hotel security, Martin and Gina were immediately arrested. Martin managed to convince security of the bomb present in Prince Shada's suite by having them pull out the video recordings of the day when he planted the bomb. Meanwhile, Liz, whose mission of stealing the data was a success, launched the remote control bomb. Aware of the bomb, security evacuated the hotel. As people were rushing to the interest room, Liz, who saw the assassination attempt has been foiled, asked Martin B to find Bressler and kill him while she went to disarm the bomb. Looking at Bressler and his 2 little girls, Martin recognized that the girls' names were related to the names of the 2 flowering plants he read from the book. Martin soon realized that the names of the flowering plants were passwords to accessing Bressler's research, which was the development of a genetically modified breed of corn capable of surviving harsh climates. Should Section 15 succeed in their mission of assassinating Bressler, billions of dollars would fall into the wrong hands. Martin eventually realized that Bressler was the section's target, not Prince Shada. Martin was obliged to fight security as they wouldn't listen to him when he asked them to inform the head of security that Bressler was the target. Martin arrived just on time as Martin B was about to kill Bressler with a knife. While the two Martins fought, Liz tried to disarm the bomb but failed and was killed as it exploded. Martin B, the last remaining Section 15 terrorist, was ultimately killed by Martin, while Bressler made the announcement that he was giving his projects to the world for free. Harris and Gina, with new identities, boarded a train together.